There is a belief that circles confuse evil spirits, and that they cannot pass through them. This may account for the tradition of hagstones and of passing children and ill people through hold stones like the Menantol in Cornwall. The person can pass through, but the evil spirits are left behind. A hagstone, also known as a holy stone, adder stone, or witch stone, is a naturally hold stone, usually of flint, which is found upon beaches or rivers. The stone should possess a natural hole created through erosion, rather than one which is man-made, as it is said that a stone with a man-made hole will be ineffective. Across Europe, these stones have been carried, worn, or hung in homes, barns, stables, and boats as protective objects and amulets against witches, fairies, nightmares, disease, and the evil eye. To protect your house, tie a hagstone to your door key. A variant of this charm is to tie a hagstone or string of hagstones to the inside of your front and back doors. Odd numbers of stones are always used in a string. To stop a nightmare, hang a flint with a hole in it on a string by the manger, or better still, they say, hang around your neck. This charm is used throughout Britain and is said to work for animals, adults, and children. I have always known the hags. As a child, I found them in the hedges and beneath the bushy expanses of my grandmother's garden, amongst tangles of roots, rotting leaves, and all those dark and mysterious things which we are often taught to overlook. Their gnarled fingers tangled through my hair, and ever since then I have worked with them in one form or another, as Kalyach, Baba Yaga, Lady Alahorn, and Grandmother Holla, the holly hag who I have spoken about before in my videos and writing. But there are others, who are much, much darker, and more difficult to deal with. Ones who are said to ride the horses, cattle, and people at night, leaving their victim no better than a husk, covered in sweat and completely exhausted. This hag was known as the nightmare. The term nightmare is derived from the Old English mare and the Old Norse mara. The mara was often considered to be a supernatural female demon, witch, or spirit who entered the sleeping chambers through a keyhole or wall crevice at night. Once inside, she would sit upon the sleeper's chest, suffocating the victim, who would often feel an intense weight on their chest. The victim would be unable to move, but might experience terrifying visions of demons, hags, or other apparitions. In some cases, these beings may be associated with incubi and succubi, who attack the victim through sexual dreams. While these experiences of being hag-ridden are often attributed to witches and demonic entities, it is important to note that the Fae are among the beings who are said to steal horses from the stables to ride them at night, and if there were no horses, they would happily take on a human steed, a sign that fairies may have ridden you or your horses with the elf locks knotted into manes and hair. By hanging hagstones above each horse's stable or tying a stone to the stable key, the fairies were prevented from entering. From the Isle of Arran, there was a woman who fell suddenly ill and suffered from exhaustion and sleeplessness. Her family suspected that something was afoot and watched her at night. They discovered that fairies were coming into the house and turning her into a horse. In this form she was harnessed and used to pull their cart through the night. When they searched the garden the next morning, they found a hidden harness which aided in breaking the spell cast upon her. From a modern clinical perspective, the experience of the nightmare corresponds to sleep paralysis, a sleep disruption occurring during the boundary between sleep and waking, in which a person may temporarily find themselves unable to move. It can be accompanied by vivid sensory experiences, pressure upon the chest, fear, and the impression that someone or something is in the room, as well as hypnagogic or hypnopompic hallucinations. It was during a difficult period in my own life that I found myself thinking about the old remedies for the hag. Sleeplessness, exhaustion, and harrowing dreams became a familiar companion, and I found myself returning again and again to the old stories of the hag who came in the night and the many protections devised against her. A fellow traditional folk witch and YouTube creator whom I have mentioned before once shared a traditional charm against the hag, which I recorded in my journal. I will not share it here in its entirety, as her videos are no longer available and I wish to respect her decision to remove her work. The charm consisted of a braid made from horsehair and a hagstone, As the horsehair was braided, a Scots charm was recited a number of times. I happened to have horsehair from my old pony, and I was gifted a hagstone from a dear friend of Cornish heritage who has a particular knack for finding them. I added other items to the charm, including the feet of birds and holy shells, which I refer to as hag shells, and kept it hung above my bed for a long time as protection against the hag. The charm recited was as follows. The man of might, he rode all night, with neither sword, nor army, nor light. He sought the mare, he found the mare, he bound the mare with her own hair. He made her swear by mother's might, that no more would she ride at night, where once he rode, that man of might. An intriguing concept that Gemma notes in traditional witchcraft, a Cornish book of ways, is that a hold stone may be kept as a wishing stone or whispering stone, used to birth and manifest desires or changes. This use resonates with the folklore surrounding the famous Menon's Hole mentioned by Graham King, where passing through the stone became associated with healing, divination, and transformation. The Menon's Hole is a prehistoric megalithic monument in Cornwall, thought to date from the late Neolithic to the Middle Bronze Age. Its original purpose remains uncertain, but this large holed stone has long been associated with folk healing and practices intended to bring about change. Children were traditionally passed through its opening as a cure for rickets or to encourage healthy growth, while those suffering from ailments such as ague, lumbago, sciatica, and other pains were said to crawl through the hole 9 times widdershins. The stone was also associated with divination, with brass pins placed upon its surface and their movements interpreted as answers to questions concerning love and fortune. Although the Menon's Hole is not traditionally described as a wishing stone, these practices suggest that it was approached as a place of petition and transformation, where a person might seek healing, knowledge, or a change in their circumstances, passing symbolically or physically from one state into another. In traditional witchcraft, a Cornish book of ways, Gemma mentions the house doll, a spirit doll who serves the home and the people within it as a house guardian. She is there to protect the household from curses, harmful spirits, and ill intent, while also helping to look after the needs and well-being of those who live there. Gary mentions that the house doll can be ritually birthed by passing her through the hole of the Menon's Hole. It was this idea, passing through the stone as an act of birth, transformation, and blessing, that I returned to when creating my own house doll. By then, I had dismantled my small hagstone from its former use as a charm against nightmares. Remembering the idea of the whispering stone, I used it to breathe life into the doll, passing my breath through its hole and into the heart of the doll, so as to imbue her with life force. One of my favourite concepts connected with the hagstone is its use as a seeing stone. Across British folklore, it is said that looking through the natural hole of a hagstone can allow one to see what is normally hidden from human sight, particularly fairies, spirits, and other supernatural beings. The hole becomes a kind of window, offering a way of looking beyond the ordinary world and catching sight of what might otherwise remain concealed. For me, this makes the hagstone feel almost like an eye in the landscape, a small threshold between worlds. The ordinary landscape becomes inhabited by things that cannot usually be perceived, fairies beneath the glamour, spirits moving alongside us, and perhaps glimpses of an other world existing just beyond our familiar one. I've always thought of this aspect of the hagstone in connection with the one shared eye of the Greya, the 3 ancient sea hags who were sisters of the Gorgons. Their single eye passed between them has become for me an image of a kind of terrible knowing. To look through the eye of the Greya is to look into the fate of the world, into the depths of the threads that make up its tapestry. There is something frightening about that kind of sight, because to see beyond the surface of things is not to see only beautiful or comforting things, but also the horrors and terrors of what lies beyond our knowledge and human sight.